Yeah, me too. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Blues Tweezers channel. Myself, Alan from the channel, as always, and as is becoming a regular feature here on Sunday evenings, afternoons, wherever you are. We got a rough and blue session here with our special guest, Rough Swordsman Wargamer. Give it up for Rough. Hello, mate.
Yeah. All right.
All
Yeah. How
right.
you doing? Okay.
Yes, yes, yourself. Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
And
Good. So I don't envy you. I
hope
don't envy
everybody in
you.
the chat can see and hear us. We have
Yeah. Let
Jester
us know.
immediate.
Say
Oh,
hi.
Jester's here. Oh, hello, Jester's here.
Ah.
Right. We'll have to be on our best behaviour. Uh,
Yeah.
that's not very often. That's really not very often. Uh, so, yeah, just let us know you can see and hear us. Hopefully, you can. As far as I can tell, you can. Do you want to just talk a bit rough, if you like, just so I can check the levels and everything?
Yeah. Sure. I'm just saying I don't envy Tweez today trying to teach me this game. It's quite complex. I know nothing about the game. I've just got it with my GMT sale goodies. I know very little about the actual conflict itself. So I'm looking forward to it. Really am. And I just hope he's got a lot of patience. Hi, Chris. Hi, Fred. How's that? Testing, testing. One, two. Hello. Crossing
So,
obstacles has joined us. Hiya, mate.
hey, again, excellent. Becoming a regular, coming a regular. That's great, regulars. Isn't it wonderful for the channel? We got
Yeah,
we
we like
got we
regulars.
got, got regulars.
Everybody
Amazing.
seems to be saying everything's tickety boo.
Okay, well that's practically unique, isn't it? Always
Yes.
something goes wrong. What the hell have I done right? Damn.
Try and remember.
Yeah, to try and pull the plug on something, just so add a bit of drama to the whole thing. Yeah, so yeah, Chris, Fred, and Crossing. Hello, chaps. Thanks for joining us, and so we'll see how we go with this. So this is very new to Rough, so we'll kind of be starting from, as it's an American situation, first base, I suppose.
Yeah.
To going through this. So this is Death Valley Battles of the Shenandoah, which is the latest. I think, yeah, pretty sure it's the latest of the
Yeah.
Great Battles of the American Civil War series from GMT. And one thing I like about it is it's got quite a few small battles, and that's what we'll be doing. We're going to be doing the Battle of Rutherford's Farm in 1864, which is kind of like a bit of a boxing match as far as I can see. And it's in a very confined space and with a limited number of troops, so we should be able to get it, keep it moving along while we're doing this, because it can take a while when you get the bigger battles and stuff. But let's see how we go. So and you're relatively new to the American Civil War anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Shenandoah Valley is a valley going roughly northeast to southwest, just in front of the Appalachians. If you head west and you get to the Appalachian Mountains, it's a valley which it was very fertile, great farmland there, and it was a way for the Union and the Confederates to get between Virginia and Maryland, Pennsylvania, so they could invade each other. And it was kind of like a flank area to the main theatre, which was around Washington and Richmond. So it was always important to grab hold of, and there was a couple of big campaigns, one in 1862, which had this famous Confederate general, Stonewall Jackson, who, vastly outnumbered, managed to completely outmaneuver the Union forces and throw them out of the Shenandoah. Then in 1864, when after another Confederate general, Jubal Early, had actually tried to attack Washington and hadn't quite succeeded, and then he retreated back down the valley and was pursued by the Union. And this is part of that. So that's the 1864. And so in the game you've got both 1862 and 1864 scenarios. different battles, etc. This is 1864, and this was the this battle is the prelude to what was known as the Second Battle of Kernstown. And you do know Kernstown, I understand. That's the one thing. That's the game. You've got a Kernstown game, haven't you? I think.
Yeah, as I say, I've only
Herman
tinkered
Luttman's
around
thing.
with it. I haven't played it,
Sure.
but it's the second, first and second Kernstown, yeah. So
Sure. So the big thing about the Shenandoah Valley is there's this sort of straight northeast, southwest, and there's one major road that ran down it called the Valley Pike, which you'll see on the map, and it kind of runs northeast, southwest. It is a bit more complicated than that, but that's sort of a basic thing. So essentially, a lot of the battles are around the Valley Pike. Not all of them, but quite a few of them, where the Union are coming from the northeast and the Confederates are coming from the southwest, and they kind of meet. So this is no different. So this is a prelude battle to Second Kernstown, which I'm trying to remember, but I think the Confederates lost. I think they probably lost both of them. I think, didn't they? I'm trying to think now.
don't ask me.
No. Sorry, no. The Union lost Second Kernstown. So the Union lost this one, and this was a rebuff of the Union advance down the pike. So this battle particularly is over Rutherford's farm, hence the name. Just so let's learn more in the last 10 minutes of the history classes. Okay. Well, I won't pretend to be an expert, particularly about 1864. Probably know a bit more about 1862, really, but which was kind of more famous because of Stonewall Jackson, who's kind of sort of a charismatic figure. The Union general in 1864, Sheridan, is I don't know, as far as I can tell, not as well known. But he was a very effective general as well. So that's the situation. And what we're after is getting hold of that farm. And you'll see two lines of troops, well, three lines actually, with a few other scatters. So the Confederates are in the sort of brown, and the Union are in the blue, which is kind of traditional, I would say. And they lost the war anyway, indeed. As you can see, Rutherford's farm's in the middle of these two lines. There's a further Confederate line as well of units. Plus, you'll also see these little strange sort of spiky hexagon markers with a 1 on them on both sides, and that's a variable setup. So the units under there you can set up in any of the shaded hexes, 1 hex away, if you like, wherever you want in there. So we've both got a little bit of that. There are, of course, 3 major arms in the game of unit. This is a regimental scale. So each is a regiment, although you will get the odd battalion, which is pretty much a little regiment. That's why there's no difference really. They're just small. No using sheep as suicide bombers. Okay, is this a normal occurrence for you, Rough? Not aware of from jesters. Just
He just taking the mick,
yeah, it's
as
just
he always does.
casting aspersions. Does he think you're Welsh or
Casting,
something?
yeah, my gaming abilities, I think.
Okay, fine, all right. The map is 3rd Winchester. It is 3rd Winchester. You're right, indeed, as you can see there. So 3rd Winchester was yet another battle. There was a lot of battles around here. 1st Winchester, 2nd Winchester, 1st Kernstown, 2nd Kernstown, all this. So it was a popular area, shall we say?
Yeah, I assume they were, because they wouldn't have made a game otherwise, would they?
No.
Called the Battle.
There are other areas of the Shenandoah. I mean, I think if you look at the back of the rule book, it gives you the 1864. It gives you an entire kind of lots of arrows with pointy arrows saying this, they went this way, then they went that way, and then they turned around and went this way,
Oh, right.
kind of thing. Gives you kind of an idea of the whole thing. And we're between Kernstown and Winchester here, so I think so. Up towards the top. Anyway, enough of the situation. We have to get on with the game. So this is a 4-turn game. It's hour-long turns. We start at... should be set up for us. We got a turn marker. Turns.
What is that?
Oh yeah, it's in the... not that. The OOBs. So you'll see a CSA OOB button.
Yeah.
Which comes up with another window. Which I'll move on to the screen so people can see it. It says Battle of Second Kernstown. It's Rutherford Farm, but don't worry, that's fine. You've then got a turn track. I've got the same OOB capability on my side, and I do have a turn track as well. So, but there's just 2 of them, and we start at 1500 and we finish at 1900, which is the night turn. So this is a late afternoon, evening battle. So the army it's regimental level, but the armies were very, very organised, shall we say. It was still sort of Napoleonic era kind of organisation. So regiments were combined into brigades. Brigades combined into divisions, a little bit like modern army. Divisions into corps, and corps into armies. Okay. Now, one thing that characterised a lot of ACW stuff, a little bit like Napoleonics as well, is that leadership, particularly command leadership, was very very important. There were I wouldn't say bad leaders. There were less than good leaders and average leaders, and then some pretty good leaders, and then some stellar leaders. And a lot of the game is based around these leaders, and these leaders are important things in the game. Okay. The rest of the boxes below the turn track is to do with these groups. Okay. So each column is a corps, and each box is a division. Okay. And then below that, so you've got Early's corps. Well, actually,
and then
it's a little bit more complicated than that, but if you like, let's call it Early's corps. And then he has 2 divisions, which is Ramsar and Rhodes.
Right,
now in this game, we're way below this. So you have just Ramsar's division. You've got nothing else in the game.
Right.
Okay, everybody is under Ramsar. You can see there's a guy called Breckenridge, which would be another corps, and he has 2 divisions, Gordon and Wharton. Now, a slightly irritating thing for novice wargamers to ACW is the size of these units varied greatly between the 2 sides. So a division on the Confederate side was much, much bigger than a division on the Union side. It was almost a Union corps was the same size as a Confederate division. Most of the time, the Confederates were very sort of flexible about creating corps. They didn't even create corps until a couple of years into the war. Almost, they worked on these divisions instead. But here we're well into. Now, one thing you'll note is there's some stars next to Early and Breckenridge's names. So a 4-star. 4-star denotes an army commander. So Early actually was an army commander, not just a corps commander. Okay, so even though he had his own corps, which is Ramsar's division and Rhodes' division, he was also the commander of Breckenridge and his corps as well, because Breckenridge has got 3 stars, which is a corps leader. Then Ramsar would have 2 stars, and then the brigade leaders underneath him, which command the brigades, would have 1 star. So we see this on the map if we look at your forces. So you can see Ramsar, who's in the woods just next to the Valley Pike, about 3 hexes sort of south west of Rutherford's farm. Yeah. So he
Ramsar,
so he's a division commander. So he has 2 stars. Okay. Now the stars are mainly there just to denote seniority, but they do help with rallying forces. The more stars you have, the better the modifier to try and rally forces. Okay. You'll then see two other leaders flanking him. One called Lewis, which is slightly to the northwest,
Yeah.
and one called Johnston, which is to the southeast. Those are his brigade commanders. So they have 1 star. All right.
Yeah.
You will also see a chap further down the pike, a guy called Lily, where he has a marker stuck on him, and he is also part of his part of his division. So Rams's division has 3 brigades. Okay.
Right.
Now you'll note down at the bottom of each of the counters you have a sort of army designation. So Ramsar is the 2nd division of the AV, which is the Army of the Valley. Okay, which is the army section that was the Shenandoah Valley. Okay, and then if you look at Lewis, Johnston, and Lilly, they've got so Lily's the first. Yeah, is the 1st brigade. Lily's the 1st brigade. Lewis is the 2nd brigade. Johnston is the 3rd brigade. Now, also note that those brigade leaders, they have a background colour to those designations. So Johnston is this light blue. Johnston is a light blue. Lewis is a pink. Lily is a yellow. Now, if we look at the units around him, which are all the other things there, you'll see that their middle number has a background colour as well. Hopefully this comes up on you with your colour blindness.
Yes, it always rears its ugly head.
It is, but these are I think they're fairly carefully chosen.
Yeah.
If you know, all the units around Lewis have a pink colour, and his designation is pink. So those are his units. So that's the designation of 2nd Brigade. Is the 4 units. Up at the top, it tells you exactly what the regiment, the actual regiment is. So, for example, he's got the 2/2 SS, which is the sharpshooters. So it's the 2nd. I think they're a bit. No, they're not battalion. They're the 2nd regiment of the 2nd sharpshooters. Also, underneath there's a unit underneath, which is the 57th NC, which is North Carolina. So they were based in states, mainly the Confederates. So that's the 57th North Carolina Regiment. Then underneath Lewis, we have the 54th North Carolina Regiment. And if you look at all the others, they're also from North Carolina. So this entire brigade is a North Carolinian, I think that's the right word, regiment.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas if we look at Johnston, he's also from North Carolina as well. All his troops are from North Carolina as well. They're all NCs. And they're all the blue ones.
Yeah.
And then Lily down at the bottom, if you see they've got their designations are all VA, which is Virginia. So it's the the 13th Virginia, 31st Virginia, etc. Okay.
Right.
So now you can kind of see the sort of etymology of what you've got there. Is you've got 3 infantry brigades. You can tell by infantry because the symbol is a guy standing, aiming a rifled musket.
What is each unit of that brigade? That is a.
What unit? Sorry.
What is each counter?
Is a regiment. Is a regiment. Yeah. And all the regiments together become a brigade with a brigade leader. Okay. And this hierarchy is really important to how you can move, you do things, activate and do things in the game. So in this game, you activate by division. Okay. And you do it by a chip pool system. But how many chip pools? You don't just have one. You could have a variable in amount. It might be 1. It could be up to 4, depending on the leadership situation and a preliminary chip draw which you pick at the command phase at the start of the turn, which is how it's known as an efficiency, and that gives you the number of chips you can put in the cup, and then you pull them out and you can activate if you want to. And I'll qualify that if you want to. You may not always want to do it. So that gives you your kind of the kind of organisation you've got here. So we don't get above division level. So about half of the command tree, the command organisation, we don't have to deal. We don't have to deal with corps, and we don't have to deal with army in this battle. Part of why I picked this. So we don't have to worry about that. So in the game, Ramsar is always in command. That's a relevant term, in command. Okay, he is always in command. So he doesn't need a corps commander to put him in command. He is in command.
Right.
Then he can put brigade leaders in command, and those brigade leaders can put his brigade units in command. Okay. The particularly relevant number on those leader counters is the white number in the black circle. That's your command range, which is unfortunately, and this is where this game can start to get quite complicated, is not hexes. It is leader movement points, which sounds a bit, oh god, but it's not that bad. Essentially, leader movement points are pretty much 1 per hex, except for sort of dense features like woods and things, which are
terrain does take.
Because it's by movement points. It's not by hexes. So it's 1 per hex. Things like woods is 2 per hex, and roads are half per hex. Pretty much covers it. There were a few exceptions, but that pretty much covers it for leader range. So as you can see, Ramsar has a range of 5, and he can easily communicate with Johnston. So Johnston is in command. Okay, same with Lewis. And if we look down to Lily, again, same thing. Now, in this particular scenario, because this is not usual, well, it is quite usual on the Confederate side, is that you also have 2 other leaders under these number 1 counters, which is Vaughan and Jackson. Now, these are not part of the division, because the division is infantry. These are cavalry units. However, for this battle, they take orders from Ramsar. So they are effectively brigades of his, even though they aren't really. Okay? Even though they're from the cavalry, which is different from the army of the valley. So normally they'd have a cavalry leader hierarchy. These are subordinate to Ramsar for this battle. Okay.
I see Vaughan. See Vaughan.
Yes.
I also see another 1-star.
Yeah, Jackson. So both of them are like that.
He's not on that card. Jackson's not on that card.
No. So So what you need to do is ignore Vaughan on that card. So effectively, Vaughan and Jackson are within Ramsar's box. Okay, so Ramsar is the only person that you... Ramsar's box is the only one you deal with on that card. We just ignore everything else, because the Vaughan box is probably for the actual full battle of Second Kernstown. I'd have to look it up, but probably he was independent at that point, whereas here he is assigned, so you can just ignore them. Michael, hi. Thanks for coming in. And Tom, good to see you. Good to see you all. Nice turnout, wonderful. It's always nice. Always nice. So yeah, that's how the command system. Well, it doesn't command system work. We'll run through it actually as we play the game. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. But that's the hierarchy and how the hierarchy works. All right. And on my side, of course, I have a guy called Averill, who's actually a cavalry leader, but he's doing the opposite. So he commands the cavalry, but I also have some infantry which is subordinate to him for this.
Oh.
Okay. So it's just the other way around. So with you, Ramsar is an infantry leader who's also ordering cavalry, Averill is a cavalry leader, is also ordering infantry about. Okay. You'll notice on the cavalry they have a different image. They have a guy on horseback. Now on your side, that's it. But on the Union side, it's more complicated than that. So on the Confederate side, the cavalry was trained to charge and also for reconnaissance, whereas the Union used cavalry in a slightly different way. They could still do those two things, but mostly what they were used as mounted infantry. So they would ride somewhere, and then they'd get off their horses and fight as infantry.
Oh, right.
So on the Union side, cavalry have a second counter, which looks like the infantry counter, as if there was no horse on the counter, if you see what I mean, as a replacement counter if they get off their horses. All right.
Right.
There are also artillery units. So and you can see you've got one that your nearest unit to Rutherford's farm on the pike. That is a set of artillery units. There's a stack of 4 units. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've got some at the back as well coming up the pike. Okay. So just looking at the regiments themselves. So they have 3 values. So the first value is the number of steps. So that's the raw size of the unit. How many men is there? Okay. Can't remember how much one represents, but that's just a size. And you take losses in steps, which are that number. So that number will reduce as you take losses. Okay. The third number is, as is traditionally, is movement points. So infantry move in a certain way, cavalry move in a different way, and artillery move in a different way. So there are different movement point costs for terrain depending on what you are. And there is horse artillery in the game, but not in this scenario as far as I can see. So we don't need to worry about that. Okay. Note in the artillery, they've got a square bracket around their step value. Yeah. So that denotes that it's artillery, and those are the number of guns. That is the number of cannon. As in, if it's a 1, you've got 1 cannon. And they effectively count for steps. All right, it's pretty much the equivalent, but it just shows you.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's the middle number for?
So the middle number is the combat effectiveness number.
Ah, right.
So like morale. So you take. There are morale checks in this game. They're known as UDDs, and you have 2 morale states. Well, 3 actually, but 2 main ones. One is good order, which is all the units are, and the other one is disordered, which is on the reverse of a counter. So I'm not sure. Can I flip one of yours? I think I can. Yeah. So I've just turned over the 6th North Carolina next to Ramseur. And if I flip it back and flip it back again, the number of steps stays the same. There's
a little D with it.
Yeah, and there's a little D. The number of steps stay the same. The combat effectiveness reduces, and the movement reduces. Okay.
Right.
Now there is a route state which is not on the counter. What happens is that if you get demoralized, it can happen automatically, or you are required to take a morale check, possibly with a modifier, against the number on the counter. If you fail, you flip that over. If you're already flipped over, you go to a table known as the second disorder table, and you take the morale check again. If you fail, you work out what caused you to take that morale check and what are you, and it will tell you what happens. So a variable number of things could happen. Okay, like retreats and things like that.
Lose 1 SP.
Yeah, so that second disorder is kind of a big thing in the game. All right, I'll flip him back over.
Right.
Okay, so the other significant thing here is they'll have, like the leaders, they'll have either a letter or a number or a bunch of letters in white with a black circle. Now that's not, of course, command range. That's actually the weapon type. So most of yours are R's, which means they have a rifled musket. Okay. Now, rifled musket has a particular set of characteristics. They have a range, and up to the maximum range, they have a modifier to the fire table, depending on how far away you are. Okay. So rifles, I think, have a range of 5, but they're not very effective after sort of 2 or 3 hexes. Okay, and they're very effective at 1 hex range. All right. I think all of yours are R's. Now note that your cavalry doesn't have one, and that's because they can't fire. They're effectively not armed. As I say, all they do is charge or reconnoiter, and reconnoiter doesn't really mean anything much in the game. So they're things that can charge and just occupy ground, really. Cavalry weren't a big thing in the American Civil War. This was the start of cavalry losing its status as the premier arm of an army. But you can still charge with them, but you can't fire with them because they don't actually have a weapon type. The artillery have the same thing. They have weapon types as well. So you've got N's, TBs, and P10s.
Oh, yeah.
So the N is a Napoleon cannon. The TB is a 3-inch. Is it a 3-inch rifled? I think. I'm trying to remember. I don't know why they're called TB, but it's probably a very important. Yeah, 3-inch rifled artillery. And the P is a 10-pounder Parrot cannon. And mine are TBs and N's and Napoleons and 3-inch rifles. Okay. And each of those have a different characteristic as far as range goes and how they attenuate over that range. Okay. And all that is in the range effects chart. And maybe I can show that up for everybody. Let's just move out because it's covering rough. So the top of the range effects chart is all about the small arms. So this is what infantry would have or cavalry have. And then the second block is field artillery. And there's the ranges across the top, and it's the modifier for each of the weapon types. Yeah. So this is significant in the game. My cavalry, so I've got rifle muskets, but my cavalry have BCs, which is breech carbines. Breech loaded carbines, okay, which are better at 1 hex, but otherwise they're not as good as rifles.
Quite useless. Yeah.
Yeah. They're smaller weapons. They're sort of lighter weapons. Yeah. Okay. That just about and the color code at the top is a divisional designation. So you note Ramsar has a green top, dark green top on his counter, and everybody else around him has dark green top as well. Yep. On my side, everybody's this purple, the cavalry all purple, but my infantry is a brown. But again, they're being attached, so it's an anomaly for the colour.
Right.
Apparently one strength point equals 50 men or 1 cannon. So there you go.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Tom.
And the number is the first number in the sequence of 3. So it's the bottom left number. Okay. And so what you'll know is that quite a lot of your infantry are quite small. There's not many steps to them. And this is kind of the state.
No, there's not.
Yeah, because the Confederates had fought quite a bit before this, and so they were kind of running out of people, some of their units. And if you'll note, actually, in the game, when you the physical game, and you look at the units on the sprues, that you'll actually get the same unit 2 or 3 times at different strengths, and you'd use the different ones for the different battles because there was a different strength point.
Depending on how they work for that battle. Yep,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay.
They've also got little fatigue things on them.
Yes. So fatigue is
Which goes to what you were saying just now. They're worn out. They're tired.
yes, yeah. So your troops are, well, certainly your infantry are at what known as fatigue level 1. So normally that's a counter, but in here there's a little inset on the vassal module to show you. So there are 6 morale states. There is okay. There is normal, which isn't a counter. Then there is okay, which is okay. There is fatigue 0, which is kind of still okay. And then there is fatigue 1, 2, 3, and 4. So your infantry are at fatigue 1. Okay, so they are tired, but not exhausted. Fatigue has an effect on movement, on morale checks, and also in shock combat. So it's a negative modifier. But it's a negative modifier which is half of your fatigue level rounded up. So at level 1, it will be 1. So you've got a negative 1 modifier. You've got 1 less movement point, that kind of thing. You can recover,
right?
And that's by going into what's known as reserve, which Lily currently is in reserve. You can see there's a counter on top of him that says Brigade in reserve. Okay, so and effectively you stay in reserve for a turn, and your fatigue will get better. Okay. Other than that, you'll stay the same thing. Now, how do you get fatigue? Fatigue is always and it's always about activation. This is why I said you may not want to activate. So if you activate more than twice in a turn, you will gain fatigue for each extra activation. So you may have the ability to activate, but maybe you don't want to because it will give you fatigue, give your brigade fatigue. Okay, but fatigue is counted by brigade, not by division. So divisions are activated, but the fatigue is by brigade. Now, the thing is that when you pull a chit for a division, a brigade, you actually activate the brigades within it. So you choose one of the brigades and go, right, he moves or he does things. Then you choose the next brigade, then you choose the next brigade. Or you could choose not to use one of the brigades for whatever reason. Okay. So fatigue is tracked via that. So you may get fatigue on a particular brigade because you activated it 3 times, but all your other brigades you only activated twice. So it doesn't. Okay. Also, there is a modifier to the number of activations that you can do at the divisional level, which isn't really relevant here because everybody's a 0 as far as I can tell. So you can actually activate better than the chit you pull. So if you pulled a marker for a particular corps, which would be Ramsar's corps, even though it's not a corps. If Ramsar had an efficiency rating of 1, he doesn't. It's the top right number on his counter. He's got a 0. If you pulled a 2, he could activate 3 times because he's that good a commander. He's exceeding his orders. Okay, but I think everybody is a 0. The brigade commanders, they have a letter instead. Okay, and this is to do with what's known as brigade order changes. So let's just do orders first. So it's quite a complex game. So hopefully you're still following me there, Ruff.
Yeah. I keep up.
Yeah. So you'll note that Johnston, not only does he have the fatigue marker, but he has a little sign saying attack. So you have to assign orders to brigades at the start of each turn.
Right.
And there are 5 orders. So there is advance, attack, march, reserve, and open order. Okay. Advance is the default. There is no counter for advance in the game. Actually, I think there's a few which you might want to use for some particular reason, but essentially you don't use a counter for advance. Now, when you've got an order for advance, you can move your full movement, or you can fire, and that's it. Okay. If you have an attack order, you can get half movement, and you can fire, and you can shot combat. So it's like close combat. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
With march, you move, but you don't move on your own chit pool. You move on what's known as the march chit pool. So there will be an extra chit in the cut saying march, and when you pull that chit, everybody who's on the march order marches, irrespective of who they're affiliated with. So it's usually for reinforcements. We won't be using march here. It's sort of like strategic movement, and we're all right up each other's arse here, so it's not going to be relevant. There is reserve, which we just talked about, which is about regaining fatigue. And so, but you have to be in a particular position. I'm trying to remember how far away you have to be, something like 5 hexes away from the enemy to order a reserve. Okay. Finally, there's one called open order. Now, this is unique to Death Valley, and it's unique to the 1864. And what it is by this time in the war, the commanders had kind of worked out that what you don't do is you mass everybody in big blocks so that somebody fires artillery at them and kills lots of them. And so what they did is they kind of spread people out. Not so much as they do now with sort of, you know, you're one person here, one person there kind of thing. They just kind of expanded so that everybody wasn't standing right next to somebody else. Okay. And this has defensive, it's defensively useful. But for things like shot combat, it's not as good because you're not as densely packed. You can only a regiment can only be in open order. So open order is by regiment, and you can't set it at the beginning of your turn. Okay, so you nominate particular regiments to do this. They need an efficiency of 7 or better. So if they're a 6, they can't do it anyway. All right. Now, so you order this at the beginning of the turn, and you assign either attack, advance, or whatever. One thing with advance is you cannot close to the enemy, so you can't go adjacent. You have to do attack to go adjacent. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Now, what you may want to do during the turn, as you're pulling chits out and activating these units, you may want to change that order. And you use the change order mechanism to do that, and that's how you produce open order. So at the change order segment of that activation, you say, actually, I want this unit to be in open order. Okay. Whenever you want to do a change of orders, you have to roll a dice on a particular table. And the table is, again, it's just covering rough up here, so I'm just going to move it. There we go. It is the Brigade Orders Change table, which is in the top right-hand corner of the front of the player aid card. Yeah. So you roll a dice there with a few DRMs, and you find out what happens. And you could get a retain. A retain means they ignore the new order. They do what they did before. You could get a change, which is they do the new order and they throw the old one out. You could get a stand, which means their orders may change or not, but what they actually do for that activation is just stand there and go, okay, that's weird. And they don't do anything. Okay, so retain and stand is absolutely useless because they don't change the orders and they don't do anything. So, and then you've got a rather fun result in the middle known as loose cannon. Now, loose cannon is essentially you refer to the particular letter on the leader, and I'm pretty much most people are an N, I think, as far as the brigade leaders go. Yeah, they're all N's, which means they're a normal. Okay, which is normal means that it's a retain. But you can get some commanders who are a little bit flighty or slightly more aggressive. So you can get aggressive or cautious, or unreliable is great fun because you don't know what he's going to do. Yeah, could be any way. Could be normal, aggressive, or cautious, as the mood takes him in a dice roll. So that brigade. So those become relevant usually normally if you want to engage the opposition, normally you'd want to move up with an advance because you have the full movement, and then in the next activation you switch to attack, and then you can move adjacent and you can have shock combat. So the brigade orders is actually quite a thing in the game. All right. So I think what we'll do is we'll just crack on now, because I'm sure everybody's asleep. It's been 45 minutes, and they're losing the will to live as me just spewing out these rules at everybody. So let's kind of get into the game.
Can you just sorry, Tweez?
Yeah.
Can you just tell me what the first thing you mentioned was?
The first thing that was about the battle.
Yeah.
And the valley pike and the elephant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bastard.
Right.
Okay. So now one thing in this game that slightly annoys me, and when I did my replay of Fisher's Hill of this system, I commented on, is that there is nowhere except buried into the rule book the sequence of play. So there's no sort of independent little card or little or anything like that.
On the back of the rule book or anything like that.
No, it doesn't seem to be there. I've never found it. If somebody has found it, then well done, but I don't know. So it's page 4 of the rule book to look at the sequence of play, and I haven't got a something to stick on the screen, I'm afraid, so you just have to trust us here.
Okay.
So the first thing you do is an initiative segment. That's basically a competitive dice roll. Highest wins. Okay. There are some DRMs, but they're not going to be in this battle, so I won't go through it. Okay. Then you do your order segment. You determine your chain of command. So you start at your senior leader. Oh.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my rule book out.
Oh, okay, right. I'll back off.
What page is it on? No. What page was it on?
It is on page 4.
Oh yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Jester says, you've been muted for about 45 minutes. We didn't hear anything. Can you start over? No, and that's probably your system rather than mine. So, yeah. Just trying to wind us up. Failing abysmally, I'm afraid. Sorry. No. Black Panzer's fallen asleep. And you're asleep and you want us to start over. So the answer is no. You'll have to sort of kind of wait to the end. When we finish the stream, you can then sort of rewind and watch the first 45 minutes.
It was all for my benefit anyway. So
yeah, exactly. It was only for Rough. You guys can, get lost.
If you've got half an inkling, you'd probably know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But half of you know this game anyway. At least certainly a decent proportion of you. So right, so we've got initiative segment, which is a dice roll contest. Although on the first turn, somebody is assigned by scenario to have the initiative. Okay. Now, how that is relevant is that when you put the chits in the cup, the person who has initiative picks a chit and plays it first. After that, everything's in the cup. You just pull out chits and people do things. Okay, so that's this is a joke, obviously. Exactly. So in the order segment, which is the second bit, you determine the chain of command. So this is where you start off with your senior leader, which will be Ramsar for you, and you make sure that people under him, the brigade leaders, are in command range, and also that units under the brigade leaders are in command. Okay, if they're not, you can. Yeah, thanks, Tom. Yeah, okay. If they're not, then you mark them with an out of command marker. Ooh.
Right. So,
very technical.
not only, yeah, so we've got a command range of rams of 5.
Yeah, remember that's movement point, leader movement
Move,
points, not hexes.
and so Lily is in command, and his units
Yeah.
have got to be within 4 command
Yes, although you
points.
do have a bit of a bonus. So if you have a line of troops, and
Is it?
Lily is able to reach one of those troops,
Yeah,
then you get a kind of daisy chain effect.
yeah. Same in Men of Iron as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Men
it.
of Iron, GBOH is like that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, Great Battles of History. It's a similar thing. It's a same designer
they
kind of
passed
thing.
again.
Yeah. Although you'll have to look. Jackson is interesting.
Where is he?
Because Jackson is a little bit far away, but I think you might be all right with the roads.
Ah.
Because you've got the roads and trails there. You might be all right. 1, 2, 3. No, actually, no. He's going to be out of command. Okay. And what out of command does is it basically lowers your efficiency by 1, the activation by 1. So, say for example, Ramsar is activating twice. Jackson can only activate once, even though you pull the chit out twice. You have to pick which one you actually activate on. He won't activate for the other one. That's pretty much what it means. Okay. So then you do an activation efficiency termination. So we will be given numbered chits to put in our own cups to pull out to see what the efficiency of Averil is and what the efficiency of Ramsar is, and that's the number of basic activations that they can do. In this scenario, so my efficiency pool is 2 times 3. So I've got 2 3 markers and I've got 2 4 markers. For you, you have. What do you have? Oh yeah, so here we are. You have 2 2 markers and 2 3 markers. So I'm going to be activating on average more than you are.
Right.
Okay. So at the point of what it said there in page 4, activation determination, the efficiency, you find out what that efficiency is. Okay. Then you do division orders. This is where, as long as you're in the chain of command, you can change the orders of any brigade. So this is the attack, the advance, the march, the reserve. Yeah. There's a reinforcement orders, which we don't have to worry about, and there's a reserve placement. So that's ordering reserve. Okay. Then there's an engineering step, which we don't have to worry about as well. Okay. So pretty much the orders segment is chain of command. Pull that chit out to find out how many activations Rams is going to get, and then give orders out to your brigades. Okay.
Right.
If you want them to stay on a particular order, then that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
So then we have the activation segment. So whoever had the initiative gets to choose the first chit. Then all the other chits go into the cup together, both sides, and then we do an activation on each chit. Okay. So when you pull out a chit, it's going to be on a division, so it's going to be Ramsar. Basically, we're not going to have many chits here. You can then do any orders change you want to on any of the brigades, and you roll on the brigade orders change if you want to. You can then do a thing called brigade coordination phase. So I must admit I haven't found a lot of use for this, but essentially in this game you move unit by unit and brigade by brigade. So you say, I've activated Ramsar, now I'm going to move Lewis and the units under Lewis. Then I'm going to move Johnston and the units under Johnston. Brigade coordination is a dice roll, and what you can do is you can say, right, these 2 brigades are actually effectively the same brigade for this activation. So you can move whoever you like, whenever you like, out of the 2 brigades. Okay?
Right.
Then you have the action phase. So you then start moving units one at a time in the activated brigade. So whichever you said, I'm moving Lewis, I'm moving Johnston's. So then you can move, and or fire, depending on orders, and do a shock combat. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other things you can do. You can do a resupply ammo and rally. So rallying is trying to is effectively you take a morale check to try and flip back over. Resupply ammo. So if you roll a 5 on a fire combat, you get a low ammo marker. This gives you a modifier of -2 for firing. If you roll it again, you're out of ammo and you can't fire. And resupply ammo is about getting your ammo back. So you take it takes an activation to improve an ammo level. Okay, and we just go through all the chits activating, and then the end of turn segment is not going to be that. Well, the commander movement phase. This is for the top commanders, corps, and army, so we don't have to worry about that. Replacement and recovery. This is all about fatigue, but the reserve status. A few other things which we'll come across if we need to, but it's just a kind of housekeeping, really.
Yeah.
There's one other thing you do, which is the combat effectiveness phase. So units that suffer more than half of their starting amount lost, they become collapsed. And that's an extra morale state, and they're in big trouble, basically. They've lost their cohesion completely. At the brigade level, if you lose more than half of your brigades as collapsed or routed or disordered matters as well, then that brigade is ineffective, and you've got restrictions on what you can do with that brigade. You can also do it at the division level. So again, if more than half of your brigades are ineffective, then your division is ineffective and you get negatives as well. And you basically look at that at the end of the turn. Then you move the turn marker and off you go again, initiative segment. All right?
Right.
So we start off with initiative segment. Now it says that the Union have initiative, so we don't roll.
Right.
Okay? But what we do now is the order segment. We determine our chain of command. Now I think, with the exception of Jackson, and I will just check on here about what the command is supposed to be.
So everybody checks, not just the side with the initiative.
Yeah. So So this is both mutual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only activations are one side or the other. Everything else is basically mutual.
Okay. This is like the pre-check to make everything sure everything's tickety boo before we go.
So one thing we need to do is just to deploy Vaughan, Jackson, and Schoonmaker, which is my guy, the cavalry. We have to move them out off the hex. So stacking is in the player aid card, and effectively it's 15 infantry strength points. It's 7 mounted cavalry strength points. Now you can have with those a battery of artillery or 6 guns maximum with them. If there is no infantry or cavalry with the artillery can be 2 batteries. Okay, that's your stacking. Here. So you may be able to stack, if you want to, with a few of those. So I'm going to. So we get rid of that number 1 counter.
I've only got cavalry in both my.
Yes.
Things.
So have I. So I think I'm going to. One thing that's really, really important. So facing is important in the game, and you always face a hex spine unless you're marching, which you won't do in this game. So everything faces a hex spine. So your cavalry units, they're facing a hex front at the moment. So you will need to rotate them.
How do I get rid of that 1? Just delete it?
Yeah, just delete the counter. It's a sort of, it's just a counter on the vassal. Control period. Okay.
I'll have to let you do yours first, because every time I go down to mine, it flicks back to you.
Okay, go. I'm done.
Just checking out what you got there. Right. So,
Carl, good to see you. Good to see you.
so how many? What's the stacking limit?
Cavalry, mounted cavalry, 7 strength points per
7.
per hex.
Right. Okay. What have we got here? Oh, there's 2 biggies there, aren't there? Right. Okay. I'll turn them round in a minute.
Yeah, don't worry.
7.
Carl, yes, yeah, very lightweight, incredibly lightweight. I'm regretting this already. I think we're already an hour in, and we're even doing the setup. So there you go.
So the commander has to be on one of the units.
That's a good question. I think so. Actually, maybe not. Don't think they do actually.
Well, it's
probably a good idea, but yes, I don't believe they have to be with. So all of our leaders, they move with their units that they've just commanded. Okay, whenever those units move, they move. So certainly at the brigade and possibly division level, you'd want to do that. Certainly brigades, you want to be with the units. Divisions, as you can see, Ramsay's on his own, and higher, you tend not to be with units. But certainly at the brigade level, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to rotate him. There we go.
And you've got Vaughan there as well.
Oh yeah, I've got to do them. Hold on. Let me just do those. What I've got here. Delete. What about them? There's lots. 7. So.
Yeah, they're all little guys.
Yeah. So.
All battalions, mostly battalions.
Oh. So we've got 2, 4, 6. Now, what about going through? Is it stacking limits? So I'm charging.
Moving through. I don't believe you're allowed to have cavalry and infantry stacked together, or mounted cavalry and infantry stacked together. If you do, I think that's disorder time. Just check. It's probably under stacking. Where's the reference for that? It doesn't give you. Okay. Stacking. Stacking limits 12.
Make sure he gets 2, 4, 5, 6. 2, 4, 6, yeah.
Yeah, with infantry, they have to be of the same brigade. So if you want to move through another of your units, it usually costs 2 MPs as a penalty.
Right.
Also, the moving unit has to roll for disorder. It has to roll a UDD. Okay.
Okie doke.
With that roll, you also add the cost of the terrain, unless it's clear, in which case the modifier is 0. If there are artillery units and you're moving through there, then that's fine. You can do that.
Makes sense. There aren't so many of them. Yeah.
Okay. How you doing?
I think that's it.
Okay. So that's deployment, and so do we want to set any particular orders?
What have we got here? We've got attack. So movement. Lewis is fatigued. Does he really want to attack if he's fatigued?
Well, so you'll get negatives, but you can still do it. It's whether you want that farm or not.
Oh, like that, is it?
Well, pretty much. As I say, this is kind of like a boxing match.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go for it. Right, okay. They're in.
They're currently in attack. You can leave them in attack if you want to.
Yeah, I'll leave them in attack. Okay. And Johnson's in attack. My cavalry do not have an order, do they? Or do they? What's that say there? There's a little black tag on it. What's that say? Oh, moved. Right. Yeah, they haven't moved. How do you get rid of all those?
There's a little move button at the top left. I just
right at the end.
Yeah, it's that tiny little MAV.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't got orders. Do they need orders?
So if you don't give them an order, they're automatically on advance. We have to do the chip pull for efficiency now as well. So
right. So what's the length? What's the length for charging?
Is there that's a good question. It's not far.
Normally only a
cavalry
couple of
charge,
hexes or something.
3 hexes. The last 3 hexes, yeah. That's called the charge path. You can't change facing.
Yeah.
Okay. In general,
so they're just going to be
unless the opposition is in a bad state, it's usually a bad idea. Charging, you're going to take huge losses if the opposition stands. It's very good for pursuit, but that's it. As the the Confederate cavalry are not as useful as the Union in these battles.
And they use them, I suppose.
Yeah. So if you hit the chit pull button.
Chit pull button.
Yes, it's kind of in the middle of the row.
Gotcha.
At the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Right.
Yeah. So there is 2 pulls here: an activation pull and an efficiency pull. We need to populate our the efficiency markers. I think you had 2 2s and 2 3s. So
I think you said
that's 2 2s and 2 3s. Now, bear in mind, I haven't actually used this vassal module in anger, and I've got 2 3s, 2 4s, haven't I?
That's a bit flash, isn't it?
What?
The actual pictures and everything. That's not what they normally look like. You can tell Stigler's been having a go at this, can't you?
Yeah, sure. So we should put it into the Union. So the efficiency pool, all these
go into the hat, yeah.
So whoever wants to draw first, so put it into the pool, draw 1. I think that's what it says. Each turn during the efficiency phase, players alternate seeding the Kepi and drawing 1 EM for each division in play. So you need to put your markers. So you want to do this first. You put your markers into the efficiency pool, and then you draw 1 out, and put it onto your order of battle window. and it will be
Hold on, let me
next
get
to
that up.
early. There's a little efficiency box.
I gotcha. Right.
So you pull one out.
And then flip it. No, I can't
No.
flip it.
Well, don't yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to see it. So I think.
Oh, I see. Right.
So then I think you then pull out all the other efficiency ones. Then I put mine in.
Well, it's making me draw them. It won't let me.
Well, yeah, fine. Draw. Yeah.
There you go. Right.
Okay. So I put mine in.
I can see your numbers now.
Yeah, but I haven't pulled anything out yet. So
No,
I'm
gotcha.
going to pull one efficiency out, and then this is for Averill. So it's a cavalry efficiency.
Because he's in charge of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah.
So I'll just pull these out as well away. Okay, so I'll just have a look at what mine is. Okay, right. So we've done that bit.
Wants to see that?
No, you shouldn't have my window open.
Oh, now he tells me.
Well,
Well, it does say mask, but how do I turn it over? Why don't we turn it over? Flip. Let's flip, clone, delete, or mask.
mask is flipping it.
Gotcha. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So there are no modifiers here to Rams's or Averill's capability. They're all zeros and they're all in command. So therefore, that number is the number of chits you can put into the cup. All right.
Right.
I've got the initiative, so one of my chits stays out. One of my chits will.
You're going to pick one, aren't you?
Well, there's only one chit to pick anyway, because they're all Averills. Because we're one division here, so normally if there were corps and divisions and stuff, there'd be a big choice here. But you know, it's all we're doing here is sequencing between the two of us, because there's Rams's chits and there's Averill's chits, and who comes out first, kind of thing. So the.
How do I get rid of these efficiency chits?
Just put them on your card. You'll need them again. You need to do this every turn.
Right, just put them out of the way there.
Put them on your OAB card. So Ramza. So I'm just on the chip pools. I'm just putting your activation markers. I'm giving you 4. Oops, where the hell did it go? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you should do is, where it says AMs next to Ramza on your chart,
yes,
you stack the number of activations you have, and the other chits just go somewhere else.
So drag 2 of those onto,
or 2 or 3, depending on what you picked as your efficiency chit. So where it says AMs. Yeah,
okay. But you're going to see how many there is. And where do I put the others?
I'm not looking at your chart, so I can't see them.
Oh, all right. So where do I put the rest?
Somewhere. Some at the top of the chart or something, just somewhere out of the way. So don't delete them, because you'll need them again, possibly next turn.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and I have got cavalry, Averill's cavalry. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'll then transfer them to my card.
Right.
And stack them on the AMs there that you're going to be putting in. Okay, finally. So now you've got that. We then, just making sure we're doing things right here. Okay, so initiative activation. I am going to activate Averill, surprisingly. So his chit will come out onto the map. Okay. And then we put all our other activation markers. So however many you've got assigned to Ramsar and however many you've got assigned to Averill, we put in the activation pool on that chit pool window. The blue side of the cap on the blue side, yeah?
Right, yeah. The ones I've got on the AM.
Yeah.
Which corresponds to the number of
activations that Ramsar's got for the turn.
But that corresponds to efficiency.
It is, yeah. It should be the same number as your efficiency for Early's division, Early's corps, which Ramsar's part of, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so we're there. So we're into the activation segment on that. So in the activation, the first thing we do is, of course, activate the first unit, which is my choice, which surprisingly is Averill. So let's do that. So Averill has got he's commanding Powell, Duval, and also he's got a guy with him called Schoonmaker. Okay, so the first thing he's going to do is I am going to dismount some cavalry. It's going to be the third West Virginia is going to dismount. So I need to find the marker. He's to the east. He's the second one in from the left.
Oh, he's underneath Powell, right?
Yes, gotcha. Exactly. Yeah, underneath Powell. So he's going to dismount. No, actually, I'll do the second West Virginia. So with dismounting Union cavalry, there's a special thing. There's a guy called there's a concept called holding the horses. So for every 4 strength points rounded down of the cavalry, when you convert them to infantry, you effectively lose a strength point because
somebody has to hold the horses.
Somebody has to go and hold the horses.
Right.
So the 5 unit here of the 2nd West Virginia will be retraced by a 5 cavalry, but with only 4 steps. So I need to find them. So Averill's cavalry.
This has got a lot of chrome, isn't it? Hasn't it? This game.
There is a lot, yes. So 2nd West Virginia. So this is the dismounted unit here. So it's exactly the same bunch of troops, but he has. I can't remember in this system whether you mark what's remaining or what the hits are.
Yeah, that's
I think it was remaining. So that should be a 4.
Don't you just pick a number 4 one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's some little red thing appears in the corner. I can't really read it though. Oh, 4. It's a 4 slight sideways.
Good grief! Yes, I'm just about to see that.
There used to be the markers. I might actually use the markers. Can we?
Can you not just pick a 4?
Yes, exactly.
Mind you, can they remount?
Of course they can. Yeah.
So you want to know how many you when you remount how many you've got.
Yes, that's right. But I'm trying to find numbered markers. Strength point. There we go. So flip.
Right.
I think I prefer that.
Yeah, that's better.
So that cavalry goes. So I'll just stack him off board. And stick him underneath Pal. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the 1st West Virginia. So West Virginia. Dismounted. And he will have a 5. Right, that feels a lot better. Okay, so now I'm going to do some movement. So I will move. Now, what you need to watch for is your artillery. So there is there's two main types of fire. There's phasing fire, which is you do in your turn, and non-phasing fire, which you do in your opponent's turn. Okay, so non-phasing fire consists of a few different types. So there's return fire, which is if I fire at you, you get to fire back at me. Okay,
Right.
Very simple. There's pre-shock fire, which is if I'm trying to close combat you, you get to fire at me. There's withdrawal fire, which is if somebody wants to move out of the zoc of an enemy, that enemy gets to fire. Okay. Then there is another thing is what's known as approach fire. So approach fire is if somebody moves within 3 hexes of an artillery unit through its facing. So facing is sort of 2 units, then 3 units, then 4 units in an arc. Yeah. Within 3 hexes, then the artillery unit may fire, but it can only do it once in an activation. So it can't approach fire on everything that moves through. It has to pick the unit that's doing it. Okay. So I am going to move the 91st Ohio. 91st, wow, that's a big number. And he's going to move down the pike, move there for 1, and move into the farm for 2.
Hold on.
Now you may want to fire at him.
Could I have not fired before you got into the farm?
No, because I wasn't I wasn't within the 3. Okay, so I went from 4 to 3. So I was 4 hexes away when I moved. Then when I moved again, I was 3 hexes away, and now you can fire at me. Okay.
Sorry, you moved. I couldn't fire. You were 4 hexes away at the start.
Actually, no, I'm wrong. So yeah, you could fire at me. You could fire at me in the first hex, because it's enters a hex anywhere within 3 hexes. Yes.
Yeah. The reason I'm saying that is there's going to be modifiers if you're inside a stone building. Yeah. Which I assume this is.
So Rutherford, I'll have to check the.
I'm asking these awkward questions, and I know.
No, it's fine. I'm not sure it counts.
Doesn't. I'd probably get a better shot at 2 hexes away rather than 3.
Yes, indeed. I don't think it has a combat effect. There's stone walls and towns, but I don't think it's significant enough as a set of farm buildings. This is an entire regiment moving into the hex. They're not all going to pack into a couple of barns.
No, sure. Yes, you tend to forget.
So you might as well wait until I get to
into the farm.
Yeah. Okay. So I move into the farm.
Right. Okay. So
you can then fire at me with an approach fire. So you have 4 batteries there. So you don't have to fire everybody. You could fire just 1 battery. And effectively, if you fire more than 1, then you add them up. Note, though, that you will get the worst modifier for distance. So if we look at... You've got Napoleon Cannons. So at 2 hex range, they get a +2.
Yeah.
The 3-inch rifles get a +2. But the 10-pound parrots, they get a +2. So you can stack them all... Yeah, you can add them all together. And they will then... yeah, then you'll be you can add them all together. Now there is a limit on how much can fire out of a hex. So it's not necessarily just one unit as well. It's about steps. So
now you have your brigade leader in there, don't you?
I do.
What happens if he gets killed?
So if that unit takes a loss and I roll a d10, and if I roll a 0, he's a casualty.
Right. So, yeah,
but he can be replaced, but it will be victory points for you. Can't remember where it is. Combat. So 7 strength points of infantry or dismounted cavalry may fire out. 12 strength points of artillery may fire out. So yeah, you can, and then there's a kind of conversion if you want infantry and artillery to fire together. So you could fire that entire stack as one, if you wanted to.
And what is the combat value? It's those bracket numbers, is it?
Yeah. So you just add those bracketed numbers up. So that's, you have 8 guns. Okay. And your modifier is +2 on the dice.
+2, not for each.
No, it's just +2. It's the you add them all together, and then you apply whatever range modifier.
Oh, I see. So if they were different, you'd add and take away and get a total.
I mean,
right.
You could fire them separately if you wanted to. I think you can do that.
No, let's put a big barrage down on the farmhouse.
Actually, no, I'm wrong. Actually, no, they have to fight separately. But they have to fire separately.
Okay.
2 units may not combine fire.
Right, which makes sense with the +2. Otherwise, getting +2 just for one. It should be. Yeah, I get it. Right.
Oh,
so
no, wait a minute. Each one's maximum fire load based on the type. But I think 7 total SPs of or 1 battery without a stack together. Okay. Artillery fire may be combined. So no, I was right. You can add them. You add them together. You don't have to. You could separate them if you wanted to.
Well, you're not just going to stay there in the woods, are you? Or out in the open?
I am, because this is a victory point position, and I can't move any further because I'm on advance orders. So I can't actually move adjacent to you.
Well, the other units.
The other units may move up, but again, nothing I've got is on attack orders.
No. What I'm saying is, I might save some of them for when you do
move other units. Absolutely, yes, indeed.
Let's put the big one down. Let's put the
Amherst
one down.
Okay, so 4 Napoleon cannon are firing. Okay, yeah. So you've got a +2 for range.
Yeah.
As a dice roll modifier. You move over to the fire table.
Gotcha.
Let me just show that for everybody. Over to the fire table.
So just got the game yesterday.
Yeah. So there's 2. There are 2 charts here. There's small arms chart and artillery chart.
Yeah.
However, if artillery are firing within 3 hexes, they use the small arms chart. They don't use the artillery chart. Okay. This is good. This is a good thing. Okay, because it's like canister fire. Okay, so it's short range. So so we look at the total number of points firing, which is 4 at the top to find a column. So we're on the 4-5. So we've got a set of results here, which is on the dice roll. Okay. and we then look at some of the adjustments. So as you can see,
Oh,
there's
right.
quite a lot of them.
Loads of them.
Yes, indeed. So we've done range. Terrain, there isn't any. They're not sharpshooters. You're not artillery firing at a lower level target, I don't think. Are you? Are you? You are actually, yeah. Yeah, you're up a slope, aren't you? Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes. On top of the
Okay,
little
so you do
pillar.
get a +1 for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure pretty much anything else will. No. No, I think that's it. That's all we have to do. Oh, for fatigue, but he doesn't count as part of a particular brigade, so I don't think fatigue matters to artillery. So yeah, I think that's it. So you've got +3 on the dice. So you roll a dice and add 3.
Hold on. D10, yeah. It's obviously the only one there. Right,
yes.
Here we go.
Whoa.
9. Oh,
so 9 plus 3 is a 12, which is a 2D. So a capital D. A capital D is an automatic demoralise.
Disorder, or whatever they call it.
Disorder, yeah. And also lose 2 strength points.
Gotcha.
Now, one thing you can do, as a unit, although you needed to have declared it, I don't think you need to bother with this. Is you can do a thing called rapid fire. Now, rapid fire allows you to fire twice in a turn rather than once. Although you can't fire more than once with in a activation, somebody else's activation anyway. So I don't think it's relevant. It's normally when you're firing, when you're firing as a phasing player, you can declare you're doing rapid fire, and you can fire twice, but a 0 and a 10 as well as a 5 causes ammunition problems.
Right.
But anyway, so they're down to a 6. So markers in. And I need to roll for the commander.
Oh, right.
2, he's fine.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to start moving other things up. So I'll move the 34th Ohio to there. Now, you can't actually fire at him. In fact, actually, I'll move here, then here. You can't actually fire at him. So if you note, you're at a higher level, but there is also another level between you. Okay, so
you're hidden.
I'm kind of hidden. So under normal zone, so you can look down the slope. However, where you are, and this is it's a difficult rule to get around your head. So if you look at the hex behind you, it's still at your same level. If it was higher, you were effectively down a continuous slope, and you would be able to fire me. But at the moment, it isn't. So therefore, there's kind of a rounding, cresting. So it's effectively like a crest.
You're saying 2509 X is the same height as I am.
Yes, and so therefore there's an implied block between the two hexes. Yeah.
I was up on the edge there. It's like most line of sight rules. If I was up on 2509, I could see you.
Yeah, but if 2310 was a higher elevation than yours, so it's the woods behind you.
Yeah.
If that was higher, then you'd be on a continuous slope, and you would be able to fire at me.
Yeah.
There'd be no cresting, because it's kind of like a downward, rather than a kind of like this kind of thing.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's a gentle slope down, so I would be able to see you. Yeah.
Okay, so you can't fire at him.
I fired at you at 2708.
2708 for I believe for the same reason. You still got the crest. You're too far back on the crest.
So it's the same distance distance in hexes as I am away from the edge of the hill. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's intervening, yes. So if there's oh, hang on, that's a good question actually. Again, this line of sight thing is a little complicated.
Well, if I can sort of understand Panzer Grenadier line of sight and World at War 85 line of sight.
Yeah, so here we go. It's
yeah, facing is the same as GBOH and Menavine, I believe. Is that right, Tweez?
So what's that?
The facing's the same as Menavine and GBOH.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yep. So if the firing and target are on different levels, LOS is blocked if the hex elevation along the line of fire and beyond the higher unit descends sooner than it does between the higher and lower units. It doesn't descend at all.
No.
So
You're
and the LOF beyond the higher unit does not cross any higher hexes before entering the lower hexes, and it does. So yeah, and you still can't.
Right.
I believe, yeah. They've got an example here which is actually quite useful.
Line of sight rules are always...
Hold on. No, I think... Yeah, because it stays the same. Right. No, yes, you can. That is, if it's it doesn't have to be higher. It just needs to be the same level behind you. So, yes, you can actually fire at it. So you can fire it at either of those hexes.
Oh, I can't, that doesn't make sense to me. But
so effectively,
one,
if it's on,
one does.
Yeah, if it's it's effectively a continuous slope. Okay, because if 2310 was one lower, then you've got the kind of hill effect, and you're on this side of the hill, and I'm on that side of the hill. Yeah.
Right.
Whereas as it's all the same level, it's a gradual slope. They're coming down, so therefore you can see all the way down the slope. You don't have this sort of hump effect in the way.
I've got to look at the terrain charts as well, because that's gradual slope. Yeah. So I could see it. Whereas different coloured ones with the contour lines are higher.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you can fire. Yes.
And I will.
Okay, who's firing?
I think I'll fire Regiment B of 2.
Okay.
That's TB,
so that's
isn't
the Georgia Regiment B. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 2 3-inch. At 2608 or 2708.
At the
closest.
If I can reach 2608, I'll fire there, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
So does it make a difference?
So you'll get a +2.
Yeah.
So it's a +3 again, because you're firing down with artillery.
Yeah.
So it's a +3 on the dice, but this is a 2 on the small arms column.
Come on, really good.
Hang on. I've just realised I've had the fire thing in front of everybody. Sorry, this is what I've been talking about. Is this unit moving up from here to there, and that artillery unit firing, or one of those artillery units firing. So he can do it. So we're on the 2 table. And you got +3.
Oh, +3. Here we go.
0.
Is that 10? Tell me that's 10.
I don't think so. It's always the thing you forget, isn't it, to check?
Which one is it? Yeah, is it 10 or
0? 0 is the naught is read as 0, not 10. Yeah, I thought it was 0.
Oh.
So it's a 0 +3 is a 3, and on the chart,
No,
it's a dash, so nothing happens. Okay?
nothing. Oh,
No.
there's no other. Yeah, we did the adjustments, didn't
Yeah.
we?
So
Yeah.
first West Virginia will move up as well. Actually, it'll go there. 1, 2, 3. We'll move the 9th West Virginia up to the woods. And then we'll try and move to 2407.
I'll fire.
Get rid of this. So, sorry everybody. This guy moved
Oh,
to the woods and then there. Okay. Sorry,
fire.
I got the chart on in front of everything. I'll move it to the one side actually if I can.
Oh, I see. You're blocking things. I'm looking at my own vassal thing. I'm not looking on the.
Yeah.
So I don't see what the peeps in the chat see.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, trying to get the chart in a position that it doesn't affect anything. Yeah, but it's still visible. Okay, so
I'll fire with my last 2.
Okay, so that's 2 plus 3 again.
So it's 2 and a plus 3. Come on. 5. That's
5,
8.
6, 7, 8 is a D plus 1. So I need to do a disorder roll against 7 with a +1 on the dice.
So you're rolling this, whatever
Yeah.
they call it, disorder roll against which number? You're 7 in the middle.
Yeah, my efficiency rating. So combat efficiency rating is 7.
Well,
I've rolled a 3, +1 is 4, so they pass.
Right, so it's below 7. 7 or below, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the... Oh, I see. You get the +2 means +2 to your roll. Right,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I will move the 14th West Virginia through the woods for 2, and then I think I will I will change his facing. So
Do you get a free one, or is it cost?
it costs, I think, facing change.
Normally a move.
I think it's a movement point. Again, we'll need to check it. Change the facing. Oh no, you get 1 for free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
1 for free, and then it's +1 for if you want to go any further. Okay.
All games are different, aren't they?
The 2nd West Virginia is going to stay there. They are going to attempt to fire, I think, because they're not moving. So they're going to fire.
Which ones?
So it's the 2nd West Virginia Cavalry, dismounted, which is underneath Powell.
Yeah, gotcha.
Is going to try and fire at the 2nd Sharpshooters. It's your top unit. So your top unit is the vulnerable one. Okay. So I'm three hexes away.
Excuse me. They did have orders. Did they have advance orders or something? Or...
Yeah. So an advance you can fire, but then you can't move.
Right.
Okay.
So you're firing at my
at the sharpshooters, which is up on the wooded hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So it's not going to be a very good fire. So breach load carbine is -2 at 3 hex range.
Breach load carbine.
So -2. The terrain effects are...
We're in the woods.
The woods is fire. Combat effect is a -1, so that's -3. I think that's probably it. So it's a -3, and they're firing with 4 strength points. So on the 4 table with a -3. A 9 goes to a 6.
D+1.
Which is D+1. So you're rolling against the second sharpshooter's rating, which is an 8, with +1 on the dice.
So, right, here we go. Oh,
Yeah,
lovely. 0, you tell me, is 0. So that's
fine.
2. +1, 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Right. So, second West Virginia.
I'm liking the similarities between. I know Men of Iron is a much simpler game, and GBOH I've toyed with, and there's similarities, isn't there? I quite like that.
Yeah.
Even though this is crunchier, I believe. So, but I'm liking it. What are you doing? Where are you going?
Cavalry is just moving there and then changing, facing back. Right. And what we got here? We've got Schoonmaker. So his guys. Oh, they've got different weapon. Oh,
what are you looking at?
So the cavalry behind with overall, they actually have Spencer carbines. So like
yes,
like repeater rifles. So they're pretty good.
Much better things. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the comma. Okay, so 1, 2. I'm going to zoom out and get rid of that damn chart. Always forgetting the charts. 1, 2. Zoom out so I can see where the hell I am. 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, and there. He's going to just go alongside. Schoonmaker will go there as well, and Averill to get Powell. So probably move up to there, I think. Yeah, keeps everybody in command. And my artillery will move. Let's have a look at the artillery. So that's 1 per hex because they're not in march mode. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and come out the hill. Have to stop there. Okay, so that's my activation done. So now we turn to the cup and we pull out another chip. Okay, do you want to pull it out? Could be either of ours. So let's get the chip.
They're mixed up, yeah.
They're mixed up. So yeah, just drag one out.
Oh, second cav.
So it's me again.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I'll
So
pop
where did you put the chip? Yeah.
It's over with the other one.
Yeah, we'll just stick them at the back here. So
Yeah,
second activation.
You do what you like with them.
Okay, so now I am going to. They're still on advance, so now we're going to get some firing going here, I think. So I'm going to fire my artillery. Probably fire it at your artillery, actually.
Yeah, I thought you might.
So I've got 3-inch rifles. 2 hex range, I think, was a +2, wasn't it? +2.
Let's have a look. At 2, yeah, +2.
Now I can also add the infantry firing as well. Combined fire.
Oh, so they don't have to be stacked to fire. They just...
No. I'm not talking about the other artillery unit. I'm talking about the infantry unit it's stacked with. So they can
Which
combine.
one?
It's the 91st Ohio. The disordered guys.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
Yeah, I could add them together, although they're disordered, so I'll get a negative on that.
Yeah, -1, isn't it?
So the 91st Ohio 8 XPs. 8 can't fire out of a hex side. Only 7 can. So it's only 7 actually.
Hold on.
So
Which
7 total SPs or 1.
Remember, your 91st Ohio is down to 6.
Oh yeah, sorry, he's 6. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's the count. So it's 6. So 7 total SPs or 1 battery, the artillery and the cavalry stacked together. Put 3 on. Let me just check I'm doing this right. Put 3 1.
I'll know more when I've read the rules.
Okay, so I won't add them together because you can only have a maximum of 7 SP or 1 battery firing, and that's too many. So there's no point in firing both of them together. So I'm just firing the artillery. So that's 6 points with a +2 against your artillery unit.
So you use the small arms when you're short distance. Up to 3, is it? Or
up to 3. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So 6.
So you're not lower level, you're higher level. Now there's another thing to do. No, that's not that. One thing with the modifiers on the fire table is that it doesn't explain the adjustments. That those adjustments only work in certain circumstances, and it doesn't really explain it. So where it might look like something is applicable, but it isn't because of the situation, what unit you're firing, and what their state is, and what the target is, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going through to remind myself. I think that's all. Is it at the top? It is. Oh no! Wait a minute. The artillery needs to be on top, so I need to move it on top.
Oh, I see. It's the unit that fires goes on top thing. Yeah.
So the active coming on top is a -2. So that's a 6. Just a 6 -2. +2 for the range. So it's a straight roll on 6 to 8. Okay.
Is that because they moved? Is that the thing you were looking at?
Yeah, effectively they were behind the infantry, and now they've come to the front of the infantry to fire, and that change is a -2 modifier.
When you move the infantry, when you move the artillery in, because they've gone straight on the top.
They could, but I didn't do it.
Oh, right. So that's just an oversight.
Well, I didn't know that I was going to go next. So,
fair enough.
yeah.
Right, okay.
So it's 6 with no modifier. A 5. A 5 is a D+1, and they're also low ammunition. So, I need a
You are?
Yes. So I rolled a 5.
Asterisks, yeah. Around the 5s. Gotcha.
Extended. Where's he out of ammo?
So, were you firing at a specific battery?
It's the one at the front. It's one at the top.
One on the top. Of course, I keep forgetting about that. That's the P10s.
Where the hell is the ammo? Markers.
D+1. We're on 7.
Must be missing something because I can't see an ammo marker. That is the markers, yeah. Fatigue, no.
I haven't got a clue. It does say markers there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm just looking through the list and I can't see. Command, shock, extended column. Well, they're in alphabetical order. So out of ammo should be the out. Objective, open order, no. So for some reason there isn't a marker. Maybe it's... Okay, that's a bit odd.
Yeah, unless...
Out of ammo.
Where else would it be?
Oh, here we go. No, there is a... It's on the menu. I didn't see it. So that's ammo depleted. Oh yeah, there isn't a marker. There's a little... border that comes up. -1. I'm sure it should be -2. Yeah, -2. I'm sure. Okay, so yeah, your D+1. How did that go?
Right. Yep, that's 7. Hold on, let's get the 4 + 1 is 5.
There, okay. All right. So, I will attempt to rally the 91st Ohio with Duval. So we roll against. Now, I think there's a. We look on the rally table. So I'm not adjacent to an enemy combat unit. I am stacked with a commander, and he has 2 stars. So that's -2 on the dice. Do a die roll, and take 2 off.
You've got to be under
So
6,
4.
aren't you?
Yeah, so I've got 4 -2 is 2. So if I'm less than or equal to the cohesion rating, the unit is no longer disordered. Flip the unit to its normal side, and may adjust to facing. But I think we'll be all right. So we can flip him back.
Okay.
Now I'm just thinking about return fire.
Oh yes, yeah.
For your artillery.
Should that have happened before
No,
you...
it's not. It's not artillery. Artillery don't return fire. It's only infantry or cavalry.
Could I? But if I'm going to return fire with my infantry, for instance, is that done before you try?
No. So I fire at you, then you fire back at me. But I haven't fired at your infantry yet.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah.
But would you, if you had fired at my infantry, would you, and I fired back, I'd do that before you try and rally?
No, the rally is something completely different. So they're spending their turn rallying. They're not firing. I'm looking at other units now.
Yeah, no. I'm just as a hypothetical.
Yeah, you can't rally, fire, and move in the turn. If you're rallying, you can't do anything else.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Right. So, I think the 34th Ohio will fire at the artillery again. So these guys here, just on the other side of the farm. So they will.
Yeah,
that's
gotcha.
5 points going in, and it's 2 hexes with rifles. 2 hexes with rifles is +2. So it's small arms, 5 points +2. 7.
7.
I was doing 9. And this was 5, wasn't it? So that's a 1d +2. So the top unit takes a step loss. So that is the gun is only have 1 gun. So so okay, something slightly special happens, I think, with artillery.
Yeah.
For losses, is it might be that they are the guns are abandoned rather than. But let me just check. Section. Combat results, strength point loss. No, I think it takes the loss. So yeah, abandon is about artillery retreating. So no, so he's effectively eliminated. That top Reg A.
Right.
I've killed everybody.
Right. Go
on. I will use the 9th West Virginia on the other side of the farm to fire as well. He's 8 strength points, but he can only fire 7. So that is a 7 +2 onto your artillery as well.
Oh,
I want to
poor
clear
artillery.
him out of the way. Well, and stick him on the front line.
Well, I didn't set it up.
Sorry?
If that's how it's set up, though, isn't it? This
Yes,
game?
indeed. That's right. Indeed.
Yeah.
So, so it's a 7. So it's on the 6 to 8 table with a +2.
Okay.
6 goes to an 8. 8 is 1d +2. So he takes a loss. So you put a 1 counter underneath him.
Oh yes, it's not a flip, is it? It's where the counters. No, that's not.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. Game markers.
Thanks. I'll be here all day otherwise. You know me and Vassal.
Yeah. Strength point, strength point. Oh God, where have they gone? Oh, there it is. Yep, here we go. Okay, and you need to take a D +2.
6. D +2 on that unit that was hit.
Yes.
So it's a 7 +2. Oh, for God's sake. Here we go.
A 9, okay.
9. So that gets flipped, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. So it can't fire.
That's correct.
Ah.
Right, what else do I want to do? I want to move up this artillery unit to here, but he'll be behind.
I think what you should do is go and put the kettle on, make a nice cup of tea, and stop mucking about my artillery. All right.
All right.
Okay. Hey, Devon. OG's in the house. Hi, mate.
Hey. Hello, hello, hello. We'll probably make this the last activation. We've been going 2 hours anyway, haven't we?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
No,
You're a bit late. I'm going to the 14th West Virginia, which is in the woods to the west of the farm, is going to fire at your sharpshooters again. 3 hexes is a +1, I believe, for rifles.
Where are we?
Oh no, it's not. Rifles. Sorry, -2.
Oh, I see.
To -2.
Yeah.
So it's that's 7 strength points, which is fine. So that's 7.
Yep.
-2, and you're in the
Can I
woods
just ask,
with a -3.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, before you do that,
Yeah.
you say you can't fire out with more than 7 strength points out of the hex.
Yes.
Why have you got sort of like 9 to 14, 15 plus at the top of the fire table then?
It's a good question.
Oh, no, don't worry now. It was just wondered. You kept, you're saying no more than 7, but it's got 9 to 14, 15 plus on there. All right, maybe an answer for the next time. Sorry. Right.
Yeah,
I do ask all questions. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure at the moment. Not sure at the moment. But anyway, so we're on a -3. 7 -3. Because it's -2 for the range, -1 for the woods. So 7 -3 is 8.
Oh,
is a 5.
5.
A 5.
Oh, it's ammo.
That's an ammo. And it's 7. So it's a D +1.
+1 against me sharpshooters.
Yes.
One on the top. That's 8. Right. 8. Oh!
So they're disordered. They flip over. Now they are stacked with somebody.
Yeah.
Is it the whole stack that's then disordered?
Yeah. Thanks, Cam. Sawyer. Yeah, I think he's answered it. It's to do with extended units can combine.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, that's true, because there are actually some quite huge units in the game, like 14s and things like that.
Thank you for that.
You never find it when you want to, can you?
So what you're saying is, even though you're firing at the sharpshooters, 1 unit in that stack, if that unit gets disrupted, it will affect the other unit in that stack. Right.
Yeah.
They panic the other stack, or the other unit, rather.
D means that all affected units must make a UDD roll. Oh, so you roll for each unit. So you need to roll for the others.
Yeah. It panics the other one, sort of thing. So that's another 7 with a +1 again.
So no, so this is a UDD. So this is a disorder roll for the fire, not because the other guy's disordered. Okay, there's a difference there.
Sorry, say that. Because you're firing at the sharpshooters.
Yes. So all affected units.
Yes, these movement traces are annoying.
Well, you can probably get rid of them now because I think I'm just about okay for movement.
They are annoying.
Yeah.
Units underneath must UDD.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sorry, yeah, you don't take it from the fight. You take it from the fact that he failed, that your sharpshooters failed. So your 57th North Carolina have to do a check as well.
So what is a UDD?
UDD is a disordered roll. It's a universal dice something.
Disordered.
I know that's a really weird. Universal disorder die. Universal
and that's with a +1 again.
No, that's just a roll.
Just a roll. Okay.
Yeah.
5. They're fine.
So he's fine.
Nice time. Pull yourselves together, sharpshooters.
Okay. Now you can fire back on return fire.
Right.
Except you can't because I'm outside your arc, so you're facing the other direction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I could fire at the ones.
So what you can do is you can react by doing a facing change. Okay. However, to do it, you need to take a disorder roll.
No, because as soon as I do that, Powell and his friends are going to fire at me. So then I'll be facing the wrong way again.
That could happen. So
could happen, couldn't it? No, either way you think.
Either way, I think, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm probably done. I don't think it's worth fighting the cavalry because 3 hex range is pretty terrible. That'll be it. So that's my second activation. Now, if I activate again in the turn,
you will get
I'll get a fatigue state.
Oh God.
Okay.
Right.
But fatigue 1 is not the first state. Okay. So your fatigue 1 is actually about halfway down the scale.
Oh right. So it's the
I would get a fatigue okay, which had no effect for me. Okay.
But you're on the ladder.
Yeah, I'm on the ladder, but yeah, exactly. Okay, so we'll hold it there because everybody has got much bigger lives than just this.
And I must say, first time ever playing this without reading the rules, with you explaining it to me, it's been rubbish. No, it's been fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Actually.
Yeah, you got a bit of the gist of it.
It's
not bad for a couple of hours.
And it's great. We've got Peach in the chat, answering my questions as well.
Exactly.
So thank
you. So yes, thanks for piping out because I can't remember everything. I'm a little bit rusty on it myself, and just going through it and trying to remember things from a little while ago. So thanks for the help.
We're not looking at the chat all the time. One of us has to remember just to check the chat, make sure. Yeah.
But I thought I'd play the Union because I'd get the first activation anyway, so you'd kind of see what happens. What the activation is like.
I could see you demolish my artillery. Yeah.
Well, that was the second activation. The first activation, I just moved. So that definitely was not guaranteed. But yes, still got quite a bit there though. And so hopefully you enjoyed it. Everybody watching has enjoyed it, and we'll try and carry on next weekend if we can.
Yeah, look forward to that. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. I might have even, I don't know, I can't promise because I'm trying to get the next war rules down.
Oh, right, okay.
There's another
priority.
Yeah, no, it's but you know we're silly, aren't we? We'll just go. I'll just have a quick flick through the rules of this Civil War thing. To get the. You never know.
Yeah, I need to brush up a bit more myself as well.
Oh, it's great.
But as you can see, the artillery sitting there on its own is very vulnerable to rifle fire.
Yeah,
rifle fire is more effective than artillery fire. So yeah,
I wouldn't have put artillery there if I'd have set this up. This is the setup for the game, and of course they're right at the front. They're going to get bamboozled, aren't they? They're just going to get.
Well, the idea is that Ramsar was set up to attack, and he was about to attack, but the Union got the jump on him. Is kind of, I suppose, the historical thing. So they seized the farm first before he could attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's as it is.
Great.
So yeah, hopefully we will be continuing with the Battle of Shevardino on Wednesday with my mate Jordan McMullen in the OSG Napoleon against Russia, and yeah, he had a bit of a family medical emergency last Wednesday, so hopefully everything's a bit better. I need to check with him, but that will probably be the next thing on the channel, and if not, then we're on to next weekend for round 2 of Rutherford's farm, and yeah, see how we get on there. But anyway, last word to you, Rough.
Yeah,
Everybody.
thank you ever so much for taking the time to teach me this. It's not easy. It's quite a complex game. Thanks to everybody in the chat for staying with us. I think we kept a
we got a good turnout, which was very nice. Thank you very much. And
thank you for chipping in. Indeed. This is what it's all about. This is what I love about this hobby. You know, people just come in and watch. They may know the game backwards, but they're prepared to watch and just say, you should, this means that. Brilliant. Love it. So thank you all in the chat.
Yeah.
And if you haven't played this before, if you haven't played before, I hope it's helped you out as well. So thanks for
it's the most accessible of the genre anyway. The Death Valley. It's a good product. But anyway, we'll see you all either Wednesday or next weekend. Until then, bye for now.